the upcoming crop walk, which is being held this October on the Arrowhead Trail here in Peters Township. My guest tonight will give you a little more information about it, and I will introduce them now. Rebecca Ball, which is the Assistant Regional Director of Church World Services, and Ruth Ann Bruke, she's the Congregational Recruiter. So Ruth Ann, let's start with you. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the local things that about the crop walk. How many years have we done the crop walk?
Well, we have 15 years behind us, and we'll be in our 16th year this year, 1999. Mm-hmm. We have had support from a number of the churches in the area. We include not only Peters Township, but also Canonsburg. And we generally have 9, 10, 11, 12 churches participating every year. This means that we have approximately 100, and it can go as high as 150, 175, 195 even one year that we had. So our participation is good, and it has proven to be a very successful project or program in the community.
Well, maybe with the townships growing and everything, we may get a few more people that way.
Well, we hope so. We hope so.
And how much money has been raised over the years? Do you have any idea?
Over the 15 years, we've collected over $70,000 from this particular walk, and we feel quite proud of that, of course. One of the other things, too, I think that we need to realize is that 25% of that stays right here within the community. So that means that we have over $16,000, $17,000 that have remained right here in the Peters Township, Canonsburg area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what agencies benefit by this?
Well, we have, yes, we have the Peters Township Food Pantry, and then we also have the Canonsburg Food Pantry. And then we have the Meals on Wheels program. And they all look forward to this particular crop walk because they benefit it means a great deal to them and their programs then. Right.
Okay, this is a good one. How can we get someone involved in our crop walk?
Well, while I have mentioned that we have a number of churches that are participants in the crop walk, it doesn't mean that just those congregations are limited. Anyone can participate. And in fact, we would like to have the whole community.
Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could get like the stores to cooperate or something like that, and to really everybody to get in on it, and because it affects everybody.
That's right.
It's not just certain people. I mean, it's for everybody. So if we could only have some of the people realize that that's what the idea of the whole project is.
That's right. It's limitless as far as that part's concerned. And I think one of the things that I have often thought about, there are a lot of requests on people to contribute to this and contribute to that.
That's true.
But I have always been impressed that the crop walk has always been one of the more successful programs that we have, I think, in the community.
Well, we're one of the oldest ones.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
And we do have a wonderful trail that we can walk on. And
the Arrowhead Trail is a real plus for our community. Everyone knows the trail, and so that makes it a good location for us. But it's pretty, and this time in the fall, it's particularly pretty. We've only had a few occasions, one or two maybe, where we had some rain, but we have really never been rained out.
Right. And rain or shine, it goes on.
That's correct. That's correct.
So, well, we're going to have this year too. We're going to have a couple of clowns to entertain us as we're walking down the trail, and hopefully that will, the children might enjoy something like that. Yes, even the adults. I mean, after all, we're kids at heart too.
That's true.
Now back to the food pantry. We do help with those.
Yes.
Is there hunger here in Peters Township and in Canonsburg?
Well, in Peters Township alone, it's surprising, I think, to a lot of people in the community, but we serve over 50 families, and sometimes it has been higher than that. And of course, Canonsburg being a much larger area, concentrated area, they serve many more than what we do here in Peters Township. So the needs are there. And we needn't think that because we're a suburban community that we don't have some of these problems living right with us.
Right. We really do in that. Well, there was something I was going to ask you, and it's gone now, so maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe
One thing I didn't mention that I should have before, the walkers in the crop walk are asked to bring one or two kind of non-perishable foods, canned foods, or anything non-perishable. And that helps to swell the pantries a little bit at this time of the year when sometimes their supplies can get pretty low.
Yeah, and that helps an awful lot.
Yes.
And, for both places.
That's right. Both pantries benefit from it.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. The Meals on Wheels. Now, there are, people that come home from the hospital or something, and they can't prepare their own meals or something. Then they have this option of getting the Meals on Wheels.
That's right.
Which helps a great deal. And I know I've used it, and it has helped an awful lot. And I hear you are one of the drivers for Meals on Wheels.
Yes, I've been driving, I guess, now for 11 years, and it is very interesting. As you say, we have the temporary kind of folk who benefit from the Meals on Wheels, and then we also have those that just cannot, they're home, and this is one reason they can stay at home is because of the fact that we can bring meals to them. And that includes diabetics as well as people with other kinds of health problems too. But it's a wonderful program, and I feel very pleased that I can be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that the Crop Walk can help this organization.
And they rely very much on the contributions that they get from the Crop Walk. I know that for a fact.
Well, thank you for your input in that. We'll go to you now, Rebecca. So perhaps you can tell us, Ruth Ann told us about the local, perhaps you can tell us about the regional part of it?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I think Ruth Ann really spoke well of the local benefits for a crop walk, that there are hungry in every one of our communities, even if we don't see them, that they might sit next to us in church or might be next to us in school, but they're here. And so one essential element of the crop walk is to benefit the local hungry. But crop walk funds are also used in 80 countries to feed people who are poor and people who are hungry. And so that $70,000 that the Peters Township Crop Walk has raised over the years has really benefited people in over 80 countries around the globe. And crop walks primarily help feed the hungry in 3 areas. The first area would be times of disaster. So for instance, just think back over this last year. First you have Hurricane Mitch, which devastated Honduras and Nicaragua, and there were plenty and continue to be hungry people from that disaster. Crop walk funds from Peters Township were there, continue to be there, and make a difference to those hungry people. Kosovo. Crop walk funds helped feed and house refugees during the Kosovo crisis. Crop walk funds from Peters Township are being used in Turkey right now to meet the needs of the people who really are experiencing suffering that we can't even imagine. So your reach from the Peters Township Crop Walk is really global. So you feed people during times of disaster. You also, through your efforts with Crop Walk, help people to help themselves for the long run. We call that economic development. In Kosovo, for example, some of the immediate needs have been taken care of, and now people are beginning to rebuild their lives and begin to learn how to have incomes for the long run, how to take care of themselves and their families for years to come. Crop walk funds help with those kind of projects also. It might be a fish farm, it might be as simple as buying a widow some chickens so that she can sell the eggs from the chickens at market and feed herself then. So crop walk funds here also benefit people for the long run. And the third way that crop walk funds from Peters Township really help meet the needs of people around the globe is during times of refugee crises. So for instance, in South Africa, in Sierra Leone, with the crisis and the refugee crisis there, crop walk funds are caring for people who are living, 50,000 people who are living in a stadium. So your reach is far. What you do here makes a difference for literally people around the globe.
Well, it's really not a handout either. It's a helping hand.
Exactly.
Instead of a handout.
Our goal is always to leave. Our goal is always to help people get on their feet and sustain themselves, and then us leave. So wherever we work, that's our long-term goal, is for people not to need us to be there anymore.
So, I understand you traveled to West Africa this year?
I did. In January, I visited 3 West African countries. I went to Senegal and to the Gambia and to Guinea-Bissau. The idea behind my visit was to see firsthand how crop walk funds are changing people's lives. And I came back with 2 impressions. The first one is how far a dollar goes. We can't even imagine in this culture how far a dollar goes in a developing nation. For instance, I was in Senegal and visited 20 hospital wards for malnourished children. And the reason I went to these wards was because they were empty. People in Senegal wanted to show me empty wards for malnourished children because of a crop walk project. 7 years ago, a tree was introduced. The tree was present in West Africa, but it was introduced into the diet of the West Africans through crop walk funds. As it turns out, this tree, called the moringa tree, which is native to West Africa, if you dry the leaves and feed them to an infant who's malnourished, it takes the hospital stay from 3 to 4 months to 10 to 20 days. And people were really excited. So they wanted to show me these empty wards. If that same moringa tree is given to pregnant mothers or nursing mothers, it ups their level of nutrition in such a way that it contains 100% of the daily requirement of vitamins, minerals, irons, and protein.
My goodness.
So, but you can eat the pods, you can eat the flowers, you can eat the roots, you can eat the bark. The bark purifies water to 98% purity level. The pods make an oil equivalent to olive oil. The tree grows 20 feet a year. And in a
20 feet a year?
And in a country where 90% of the food is cooked with firewood, that in itself is a miracle. It costs $50 to plant 40 of those trees. 40 of those trees literally changes the life of a whole village of people. It completely transforms their life from inadequate nutrition to adequate nutrition. Now I know you all have raised $50 100 times over in your crop walk efforts, and that's what you've done. You've changed a whole countryside of people through that sort of effort. So that's the first impression that I came back with from West Africa. The second impression, besides how far a dollar goes, is how grateful people are. People understand that the aid that they're receiving comes from people of faith in the United States who care about them, who are telling their stories, who are listening to who are really seeing the pictures of the lives of people who are suffering and caring about it. And to a village, people wanted me to come back and say, thank you. You know, they're really grateful, they're really appreciative, and they're working hard to so that their lives will be economically more secure.
That's a wonderful, wonderful story. I mean, no, it's not a story, it's a fact.
Yes,
That.
it is.
So, how many crop walks take place?
Nationally, there are 2,000 crop walks.
2,000?
2,000, and crop walk is about 50 years old. We are the oldest walkathon type events. We sort of invented this. Now everybody has walks.
Everybody has a walk.
But it started with crop walks, and there are 2,000 nationally. In Pennsylvania, there are 240. And almost all of those take place over the next 6 weeks, from now through the end of October.
That's a lot of people walking.
It is. It's, I think we estimate that about 2 million people participate either by walking or by giving to crop walks. And
yes, that is something else. I mean, if you can't walk, or you're, well, not that you're physically not able to, but if, you know, for other reasons that you can't walk that day, anything is accepted.
That's right. So you can walk by yourself around the track. And
Right.
$15 million are raised annually through Crop Walk. 25% of that, so well over $3 million, stays in the United States. And in Pennsylvania, nearly $2 million is raised in crop walks. So to me, that says something about where our hearts are, that we're really caring about other people and really looking at the needs of other people and not just ourselves or just not the needs of our community.
Right. Like you mentioned, there are many kinds of walk events and everything. And but you also said what did make Crop Walk unique was it the participation of the people in that? Is that what you meant?
I do. I think crop walks are unique because they're completely volunteer organized. A community has a crop walk when they decide it's important for them, and the leadership comes completely from within the community. The other thing that makes crop walks unique are most of the participants in crop walks are from churches, synagogues, Catholic parishes. It's one of the very few things we do as people of faith that we do together. You know, there are so many things we don't agree on theologically or socially, but most people of faith agree on God's call to care for the hungry and to feed the hungry. So it's one of the few things that we do as a community where we come together and we don't just look at ourselves and don't just look at our own needs, but we turn our eyes outward and look at the broader world in which we live and acknowledge that we stand or fall together.
Right. So let me see. Ruth Ann, maybe you could recap a little bit more about on the local information.
Well, you know, I like what Rebecca said about the various congregations getting together, because I know that this has been a real plus for our crop walks here in Peters Township. Just the interaction, maybe even on an individual level, but it has been most beneficial, I think, in creating cooperation among the congregations. But October 17th is the day.
Yes, we don't want to forget that.
And I think also, as you brought out, if you can't walk, you can be a sponsor. And all you have to do is find a walker, and there will be many people out there, young and old, who are going to be asking if anyone wants to sponsor them in the walk. And this is an opportunity, of course, that everyone can participate. But it will, we promise a nice day. Hopefully we get it. I think, Floyd and Gert will be past us by that time, so hopefully it will be a nice day. And we've had more of those than we've had the rainy days. The 1:15 on October 17th at Peters Creek Presbyterian Church, there will be short period of registration before the walk starts, and that registration is important. Then we take off up the road and down the trail, and from there on it's fun.
Irma, people could always call our 800 number if they wanted information about the Peters Township Crop Walk, and we can put them in touch with the information they need. And that's 1-888-CWS-CROP, C-R-O-P.
We'll get that on the screen, and so they can see that. And well, let me see, what else is there to talk about about the crop walk?
Well, I think it might be helpful that I mentioned too that this is a walk, the only kind of vehicle, if you want to call it that, other than your feet, that would be permitted would be a wagon that might be used. We've had parents bring their youngsters in pulling them in a wagon, and that's permissible as well as wheelchairs.
Wheelchairs.
We've had a number of wheelchair walkers, but anything other than that is not safe.
Right.
And so we do not permit, of course, inline skates or any kind of skates or bicycles, tricycles. Only those two, the wagons or the wheelchairs are permitted.
Strollers.
Strollers. Yeah,
same difference. Yes, right.
Necessary wheels.
Necessary
wheels.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we would encourage the young and the old. I mean, you know, somebody in a stroller and somebody in a wheelchair. I mean, you know, we encourage all that.
You know, we do have a reward for the walkers at the end of the walk, too.
Yeah,
we have cookies and drink back at the church social hall. And it's a welcome relief for the walkers when they do get back. And if it's a warm day, as we've had some of them, we've been kept quite busy getting enough water or getting enough drinks. We've had sodas as well as lemonade and cider, variety of things.
Right.
So it's a reward. We appreciate those that are out there on the trail.
Right. And I noticed over the years too that there has been like competition between, see who can run the fastest, be through the first, and there's been all kind of contests as to, I'd probably bring up the end of the and that, but no, it can be a fun thing too.
Yes, yes, and, it is.
So we encourage everybody to come, and so if there's, is there anything else either of you would like to comment on?
No, I just October 17th, meet at the Peters Creek Presbyterian Church, 115.
That's when we start.
That's when we start. The actual distance of the walk, and we didn't mention this, it's about 5 miles. But if there's anyone that can't go the 5, and they can just do 1, why, we're glad to have them out there too.
Whatever. And I think it was brought out at our meeting too that if there's someone in a wheelchair that is going to do the walk, that there is a place that they can park at the top of, what is that, Brush Run Road?
Brush Run, yes. It's the head of the Arrowhead Trail on Brush Run.
And this way you don't have to push the person up that hill. So there is a place to park for anybody that is interested in something like that.
Even if they're not in a wheelchair and are limited otherwise, it's possible that they could start up there.
So, okay, well, have we missed anything?
No, I hope your walk day is wonderful, and
we're all on the prayer list for a nice day.
Yes, enjoy.
So, well, I'd like to thank my guests very much for all this wonderful information, and we just hope that it'll get out to everybody, and that we see you all on September the 17th at 1:15. Oh, October. Excuse me. I'm making it a little sooner. That would be like almost day after tomorrow. Whoa. No, it's October 17th at 1:15 p.m. at Peters Creek Church. So hope we see you all there. And this is Erma Grego giving you some information on the crop walk for 1999. See you there.